Hi everyone and welcome to Beyond an Ordinary Life. Thank you for joining today. I am your host Christina Gerdes and I have been living abroad for more than 5 years in countries like the USA, Mexico, Malaysia and Denmark. By stepping out of my comfort zone, I was able to become more culturally aware, develop new language skills, make international friends and travel to beautiful places around the world. So, you always wanted to go abroad and experience new cultures as well? Then this podcast is here to help you reduce the barriers of going abroad. My guests and I talk about why you should go abroad, what options you have, what potential challenges might arise, and how you can overcome them. Let's get started. Hello.
Goddag.
Ahoj. Moi.
Ciao.
Namaste.
Ni hao.
Hi everyone. First of all, I really want to thank you for tuning into this podcast. This podcast has been a project of mine for a long time, and I'm so excited to finally taking the step to making it publicly available. You might be wondering, who's Christina and why is she talking about going abroad? So let me take some time to introduce myself. As I said, my name is Christina and I'm 28 years old. Originally, I was born and raised in a small village in the north of Germany in a region called Ostfriesland or East Frisia in English. East Frisia is a rural region in the northwest of Lower Saxony in Germany. If you Google about the characteristics of people from this region, they are rather reserved and travel interested, I can tell you. I want to point out that I really like my home region and its culture and customs, but I just wanted to give you a bit of context in terms of my background, which makes it a bit easier to understand my journey and the challenges I was facing. As a teenager, I was very interested in languages and different cultures, which is why I set my focus on languages during high school. I attended several student exchanges to Poland, the Netherlands, and England, and I loved to make international friends and to learn about their cultures. I remember that around the age of 15, I decided I wanted to go abroad to the USA after finishing my A-levels. However, I didn't really know what I would have been able to do there, and I didn't have any role models since, Instagram wasn't a big thing yet, that I could have, looked up to. So I have to admit that no one in my immediate surrounding was taking this dream of mine seriously because it wasn't common at all to go abroad for the people my age in the region that I was from. So no one really thought I was really going to do it, but the idea really stuck with me for this entire time. So here I am now, having lived abroad for more than 5 years in the USA, Mexico, Malaysia, and Denmark against all of these odds. And this is exactly why I wanted to create this podcast. I want to help young people like you to take the courage to go abroad, to broaden your horizon, and to learn more about yourself. I'm super convinced that going abroad is such a valuable experience, and I want to raise awareness about possible options, challenges, and tips and tricks so that your journey becomes a bit easier. As mentioned in the trailer, I hope you listened to it, I found out that most of you struggle with leaving family and friends. You might have a potential relationship, finance issues, and you simply don't know what options you have. So especially for those of you who don't have anyone to talk to, just like me 8 years ago, I'm here to help you along your way. But let's dig a bit deeper into my actual experiences. So you're probably wondering, what did she do in the USA, Mexico, Malaysia, and Denmark? I want to give you a high-level introduction into what I did abroad. However, I decided I will launch some more episodes in the future where I will deep dive into the individual experiences in these different countries. On top of that, a lot of insights will also be revealed in the interviews as I will be talking to people who have done similar things or even completely different things. As I said earlier, it was my dream to go to the USA after finishing high school. A year earlier, I found out from the work agency in Germany, and yes, for the Germans listening, for once they were helpful. that there was a work program called the Cultural Representative Program at Walt Disney World in Florida. So I applied, and after some interviews, I got accepted into the program. And then in July 2013, it was time to leave, and I actually moved abroad to the USA to work for Disney. It was just insane to me. Within Disney, they have a park called Epcot, which hosts a World Showcase where multiple countries like Norway, China, Italy, Morocco, France, and many more are represented. One of these countries is Germany. So they built a small village, like a German village, into this World Showcase that looks like a Bavarian village, to be honest. I'm personally not from Bavaria, but yeah, to foreigners, it looked very German. So to make the experience more authentic, Disney is employing people from original countries. So I personally worked in the German pavilion with other Germans and American managers. I was employed in merchandise, which meant that I was selling German products like sweets, cuckoo clocks, German wine, Christmas ornaments, and many more. So these roles changed a bit over time in the yearly program, but I will go more into detail in the specific Disney episode. So all in all, I think this was the perfect first experience abroad because I was able to work together with other Germans who have faced similar challenges like me when going abroad and leaving your family and friends for the first time ever. So moreover, I liked the fact that we were living in international dorms. So I personally lived together with a German, a Norwegian, and a Scottish girl, which was a very cool experience as such. I like the fact that we were able to take some time off, so I was able to travel to places like the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, New York City, California, and much more. So, and this was also actually the first time I traveled to Mexico, which inspired me to go abroad to Mexico. So let's move right into my journey studying in Mexico. After my work program at Disney, I decided to study international management in Osnabrück, which is in Germany. Due to the experience in the USA, I finally had the confidence to choose a study program that was entirely taught in English. So since I joined my first year abroad so much, I knew that I wanted to have the opportunity to go abroad again. That is why I chose the bachelor's program that included a mandatory semester abroad. So that meant that I had to go abroad for one semester. Due to the fact that I liked Mexico so much when I was in the USA, I decided to learn Spanish from the first until the fourth semester so that I would be able to spend the exchange semester in Mexico. It was a bit of a challenge, but I managed to get to level 4, which equals the CEF level in Europe, which is B2 C1, which meant that I was able to study in a Spanish-speaking university. So I applied to study at the University of Guadalaja, and I chose specifically a public university on purpose because of two main reasons. And let me tell you about it. First, I wanted to have an authentic experience at a university in Mexico. Private universities are only affordable to the highest income classes, where people tend to live a more Western lifestyle. So I wanted to get to know the Mexican culture better, which is why I found studying at a public university more suitable to myself. Of course, that can differ for everyone, but for me, this was the case. And then the second reason was that I wanted to be able to study in Spanish. So that meant that my courses like logistics, statistics 2, etc. were taught in Spanish only. Even though that was a challenge for sure, it allowed me to improve my Spanish skills immensely. At private universities, the study language is English most of the time, so therefore it wasn't really a feasible option for me. So in 2016, I moved to Guadalajara, which is the second largest city in Mexico, with a population about, I think, 1.4 million, and the city, and then the metropolitan area, I think, amounts to like 5.3 million. I really fell in love with Mexico even more during that semester and traveled a lot in the country. I was one of the lucky ones who actually got assigned a buddy at the university, which means someone that helped me setting up my courses and to find an apartment, etc. And that girl was called, or is called, Elba. And we quickly became very close friends and still talk to each other on a regular basis. Literally considered their Hermana Alemana, which translates to her German sister, and I'm very close to her and her entire family. Before I moved to Mexico, I already knew that I wanted to apply for a full-time master's degree in Denmark in strategy and organization. I found out about the options on a master's program exhibition in Germany, in Münster, I believe. When I checked the requirements, I realized that I had too little ECTS points, which stands for the European Credit Transfer System. If you study in Europe, you'll know. At statistics, and in order to apply in Denmark, I needed to take another course in statistics. So therefore, I made the conscious decision to take statistics 2 in Mexico to meet the requirements that I needed to apply for the master's degree in Denmark. So yeah, even though that was a very, very tough decision, I made this decision consciously. And this brings me already to my experiments in Denmark. So I believe in September 2018, after graduating from my bachelor's, I moved to Odense in Denmark to study at the Universiti, which is the Southern Denmark University in Denmark. The question that I get asked the most, to be honest, is why Denmark? Why didn't you just, study in Germany? And my answer is that Scandinavia in general is very known for its high quality education. Moreover, I wanted to study a specific master's program with a strategic business focus taught specifically in English. And in Germany, there was no feasible option for me, which is why I was looking into the Netherlands and Denmark. And then, as I said, at the master's program trade fair, a German student told me about her experience and why she liked studying in Denmark. The fact that the studies were much more practical orientated and that there are no study fees in Denmark, and the fact that I would have been able to apply for monetary support were definitely convincing to me. I knew I wanted to finance my master's completely by myself, which is why the financial aspect was very important to me. When I moved to Denmark, I applied for jobs right away and was one of the fortunate students, to be honest, who found a student job in my actual field with a robotics company called Universidad. Due to the fact that I worked a specific number of hours per month, I was eligible for the state education grant of the Danish government, which is called SU. For those of you who are German, it's very similar to BAföG. You just simply don't have to pay it back. And that way I was able to gain valuable work experience whilst being able to finance myself. Even though I really enjoyed studying in Denmark, I thought about spending one more semester studying abroad. I really enjoyed the Latin American culture, as I told you previously with Mexico, which is why it would have been the most obvious and easy decision to apply to a Latin American country again. However, I thought, why don't I use this chance to step out of my comfort zone and go somewhere more challenging? And I know I've, challenged myself before, but to do something that maybe I wouldn't think I would like so much. So of course that can differ for everyone because it's based on your personal preferences. But I thought back then that Southeast Asia could be a challenge for me. I had never been to Asia before and always thought that of Asia as a very reserved culture, whilst I have more of an outgoing personality. But I was open to a new experience and a challenge and applied at the Universiti Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, assuming, to be honest, that I would probably not really like it that much. But let me tell you, boy, was I wrong. I moved to Kuala Lumpur in September 2019 and ended up loving it. This was the first time I didn't move alone. When I found out I got accepted by our partner university, I also found out that another German girl got accepted as well. So when we got to know each other, we decided to travel together to Malaysia and to share an apartment. I was glad about having such a nice friend upon arrival, I can say. So especially because I expected it to be a huge challenge, that made it a bit easier for me having someone, who can share the experience with you. However, my assumptions were completely wrong. So wrong, I can tell you. I ended up loving Malaysia and Southeast Asia in general and traveled to a lot of countries like Vietnam, Thailand, Bali, and Singapore. I really didn't see it coming, and even though I had a lot of experience abroad before, it opened up my eyes for not having any prejudices towards a culture before actually experiencing it. As a matter of fact, I moved back to Denmark after the exchange semester in Kuala Lumpur and finished my studies in Odense. But to be honest, you don't need to be studying to go abroad. After my graduation, I was offered a full-time job as a marketing project specialist in the robotics company that I had the student job with. So I worked as an expat in this role for the past 1.5 years until just recently when I was offered a very exciting opportunity that I need to tell you about more in detail. So I'm super excited that I'm currently undergoing a newly introduced graduate program with Universidad, where the focus lies on my personal and professional development throughout the entire year. So I'm working full-time and I can decide basically what projects I want to work with in the 2 different departments that I'm working with. And even here, I'm able to connect my work and my passion for moving abroad and traveling, because during the program, I will be rotating in Odense, which is here in Denmark, Munich in Germany, and in Barcelona in Spain for 4 months each. So of course, I will take you along throughout my journey and tell you more about my challenges, experiences, and learnings and tips. So I think this has given you a good introduction into my international background and what I have been doing so far. During the next weeks and months, I will go more into detail and share other people's experiences as well. I hope this will help you to step out of your comfort zone and to fall in love with new cultures and to learn more about yourself. There is so much to experience out there. I hope you're as excited as I am. Thank you and see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for listening today. It means a lot to me that you made it all the way to the end. If you love this podcast, then please hit the subscribe button and give me a rating or review on Apple Podcast. Only with your help, this podcast will be shown to other like-minded people who want to learn how to go abroad too. I appreciate your help and I'm looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks again. Bye bye.
Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal.
Mange tak. Vi ses.
Ensi kertaan.
Alla prossima!
对对对。
谢谢，再见。